Welcome to the second episode of the Statline podcast. Man, we have football back. I'm Safal.
And I'm Atlas.
Let's get started, Atlas. Wow, it feels good to be talking about actual NFL football games. Let's get started on that Monday night showdown between J.J. McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson versus Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell is established as one of the best head coaches in football. Ben Johnson's trying to get there. Brian Flores, defensive mind versus Ben Johnson's offensive mind. J.J. McCarthy's legendary comeback. Oh my God, what a great game. What'd you think about that one?
Man, it was really a crazy game. A lot of swings in that game because you started out the game. Caleb looked hot. He got a touchdown early on, and he was swagging out like he was looking like him. And throughout the whole first half, I'd say the Chicago Bears looked like they were dominating that game. Even all the way into the fourth quarter, they were dominating that game. DJ Moore was playing well. Romo Dunes, all the receivers were getting open pretty well, but Caleb Williams was missing passes in the second half. After halftime, I felt like he kind of lost his way. But on the other side, the Minnesota Vikings, man, they were looking dead in the water all the way until the fourth quarter started. But then J.J. McCarthy turned it on, got his guys involved, like was passing it to everybody on offense. It was crazy. And then he also passed it to Aaron Jones. That touchdown pass was absolutely insane. He had that pass to Justin Jefferson.
That Justin Jefferson, it was a zip into the
Both
middle
of
of the
those
field.
were insane.
Oh, for
Right.
sure.
Yeah, and then you had the 2-point conversion to Thielen. Like I gotta say, this is a big thing on JJ McCarthy's resume, but it's also amazing resume builder for Kevin O'Connell because I think that game was like really showed a testament that he's like one of the top few coaches in this league, especially offensive minded. He took Kirk Cousins and made him look like an all pro at times. He took
Sam
freaking
Darnold.
Sam Darnold and made him look like an all pro, and now he's doing it with JJ McCarthy. I think it's more on JJ McCarthy than Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins or those guys compared to those. But at the same time, like, man, it was truly a game to watch, and I think both defenses had their struggles, but at the same time, you wouldn't expect a rookie quarterback in his first game to overcome that terrible pick six that he threw and ended up winning that game. Like, I was over at my friend's house, was watching the game, left at the close to the end of the third quarter, and then got back, started the fourth quarter, watched the rest of the game. It looked like two completely different games. Like, it was not even close. Like, I got a shout out to JJ McCarthy, my Michigan boy, Aaron Jones. He's on my fantasy team. I'm worried about you, man. I'm worried about
Jordan
you.
Mason's coming for that backfield, man.
I know he's gonna take it over.
Jones is cooked. All the fantasy owners of Aaron Jones out there, you guys are cooked, man. Jordan Mason's coming for that job.
Yeah, him
way
as
better.
my RB2 in my other league, bro. It's trash. But anyways, what do you think about the game so far? I won't go on too longer.
No. This might be a hot take, but I think that was the greatest debut in NFL history by J.J. McCarthy. What he did in the fourth quarter after the type of game he had in the first three quarters, I was shook. I didn't know how to react. That was Brady-esque. That was Mahomes-esque. You know what J.J. McCarthy did. Now, granted, he has Kevin O'Connell. Kevin O'Connell has proven himself, over the past 3-4 years to be one of the premier head coaches in football. Like you said, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, now J.J. McCarthy. But to put it into perspective, J.J. McCarthy had more interception return yards than he had passing yards when the fourth quarter started. That J.J. McCarthy was having one of the worst debuts in NFL history when the fourth quarter was starting. And remember, they put up 6 points by then. One of those was from a pass interference call, and the other one was one good pass that he had right before the half ended when Will Reichard made a 58-yard field goal. That's it.
Dude,
that was the entire offense.
The live reaction at this time was that JJ McCarthy was a scrub. Like, the live
the
reaction
live
was that
reaction
he was
Kevin O'Connell
trash.
needs to bring in Carson Wentz. That was the live reaction when the fourth quarter started. Was like I had a couple buddies over and we were talking the game, and the reaction was like, hey, like, is it time for O'Connell to bring in Carson Wentz? And obviously, you don't do that to your week one QB when it's only a 10-point game by then, but still, it was in the back of our minds, like, is it time to go to Carson Wentz? Because nothing was happening in the Vikings offense, right? Justin Jefferson had 3 targets, 1 catch for 4 yards. Nothing was happening for the offense, and he completely flips the switch, has one of the greatest comebacks, especially given the context. First game ever, rookie quarterback,
on the road,
high expectations, on the road against of a coach that's making his debut, trying to change the culture in Chicago, and they're rolling. Fans are all into it, and boy, did he look composed, man. Running the football, scrambling, zipping it into tight windows. That throw to Jefferson, lobbing it up out there. That throw to Aaron Jones. JJ McCarthy was doing it all. Now on the other side, we got to talk about Caleb Williams too. I mean, come on, Caleb Williams shit the bed. He did. There's
It was
no
a
other way to
flop.
put it. He's looking like a bust right now. I hope Caleb figures it out. I hope Ben Johnson can do some magic on Caleb Williams the way Kevin O'Connell does on all these quarterbacks. But after that first drive, I was impressed with Caleb, right? He was making all the right reads. He was, making good throws to DJ Moore and Zacchaeus on the sideline. He had that throw to DeAndre Swift across the field when DeAndre Swift made a couple guys miss. He was looking good, taking what the defense gives him. But when it mattered most, once the Vikings started putting points up, Caleb Williams was nowhere to be found. That was abysmal by Caleb Williams. I expected better out of Caleb Williams in that Ben Johnson offense, and I don't know where to go from here, man. Especially at the end of that game, DJ Moore's wide open up the seam in the left sideline, and he just blatantly misses him in that
That
situation.
was bad.
And also, I want to talk about one thing as well. I know Ben Johnson was making his debut, and this isn't just a shot at Ben Johnson. This is all NFL coaches. They need to hire a situational game coordinator because anyone that's played Madden, we all understood that, hey, Ben Johnson needs to kick this football out of bounds. Why are you trying to kick it right at the end? That 2 minute warning was the game. Either
Yeah, is that on Santos or is that on Ben
that's
Johnson?
on Ben Johnson. I mean, it's on
Because
Santos. The
you
fact
got you
that
gotta think that Ben Johnson would have like explicitly told Santos like kick it out of the back of the end zone. We can't get this 2 minute warning.
Of course, but Ben Johnson should also be smart enough to understand that Cairo Santos has one of the weakest legs in the NFL by kicker standards, right? Cairo Santos was a guy who just missed a 50-yard field goal, which nowadays in the NFL should be automatic for a kicker. He just missed a 50-yard field goal. Cairo Santos is not a guy known for having a big leg. You do not take a chance there. That is the game, basically. Whether a ball gets snapped after the 2 minute warning or before the 2 minute warning, it's basically the game, and he blew it. I don't want to harp on Ben Johnson on that one. I think a lot of NFL coaches make that mistake because they just have not been in those types of situations. Madden players have been in, and I'm being dead serious on this because Madden players play enough NFL games, right, or at least Madden games, to understand different situations and understand what to do in these different situations. And it seemed like Ben Johnson just did not know what to do there. It was a horrendous call to tell Cairo Santos to kick it out of the end zone. He should, I'm so mad about this because people need to understand that the rules changed this offseason. If it goes out of bounds or if it goes out of the end zone, behind the end zone, the ball is placed at the 35-yard line. If he kicks it out of bounds, the ball is placed at the 40-yard line. Are you trying to risk the entire game for a mere 5 yards? That was stupid. That was just
Yeah,
stupid beyond words. I don't know what was going on. The NFL teams need to understand situational football is everything in football, and they need to hire a game coordinator for what to do in situations like this, managing timeouts, managing the clock, managing. I mean, that was the game yesterday. He could have gotten the ball back to Caleb Williams with about a minute left, down three to go and kick the game-tying field goal, but instead Caleb Williams got the football back with 10 seconds left on the clock. That was abysmal.
yeah, it was trash, bro. Especially when you're calling out LaFleur like in the off season, like you better have your ducks in a row. You better be able to win some games. It's not all just hype, man. NFL is a cutthroat business, and if you don't have advisory people like Dan Campbell in the background, then you might make dumb decisions like that. So I'm glad we're past that game because it would have been a rough watch for Bears fans to keep talking about it.
Oh, for sure. One of my buddies that was here, he's a Bears fan. He watches these podcasts and clips as well. And yeah, he was going through it because in that first quarter, he was happy. He was like, oh my God, Caleb Williams is back. Ben Johnson's here. Chicago is changing finally. And then we're back to Bears football.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody was on such a high for Caleb Williams in Chicago. They were thinking, oh, this is going to be a great season, everything else that you just mentioned. And then, Caleb Williams was just not accurate enough, and then he folded late, and so did the Bears. So that's what happened in that game.
Now let's switch our gears to the other all-time classic game, the Sunday night showdown between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Oh my God, I can't stop thinking about that game, man. What a football game. This is why people block out Sundays in their life, right? People ask me all the time, like, oh, why is it that football is such a big deal for you? I do not want to miss out on moments like that. That was all-time legendary stuff by both quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, punch for punch, man. Lamar Jackson had the first 3 quarters. Josh Allen had the fourth quarter. Eric Henry might have had the best game of his career and the worst game of his career in the same game. Oh, that was some all-time stuff, man. Lamar Jackson, I can't speak enough about how good he is. He is 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage. 5 Bills defenders are surrounding him, and he somehow escapes that situation and runs for a 25-yard gain, and then Derrick Henry runs it in for the touchdown the very next play. And after that play, the entire game shifted. The Bills were methodically moving the ball down the field. Josh Allen had 294 passing yards in the fourth quarter itself. Sorry, 254 passing yards in the fourth quarter itself. He had a better game in the fourth quarter than most quarterbacks had their entire game. If you look at the stat sheet, and I mean, obviously the eye test, it's Josh Allen. There's nothing to say there. No quarterback outside of Lamar and Mahomes is in that Allen level. But just the stat sheet, man.
I
What a
think it's just
performance.
Lamar at his level right now, in terms of like what they can do in like a regular season game at least. Like, because we're not going to talk about the conference championship game right now, but Mahomes is not doing the things that Lamar and Allen are doing.
Okay,
Like
I mean, okay,
they're both early in their prime, while Mahomes I feel like is like a little bit older in the game. Like he wants to win games. It's not about being super flashy, but what Allen did, especially in the fourth quarter, it'll go down in history for sure.
I mean that to me that's the greatest opening game in NFL history. Maybe the greatest Sunday night game in NFL history, and it's up there in one of the best regular season games in NFL history, right? I mean, the Rams Chiefs game comes to mind. I mean, I think of the Odell Beckham versus Josh Norman like fight back in 2015 between the Panthers and Giants comes to my mind, being a Panthers fan. But that game was something special. What a performance. What a show for the NFL, man. That was the marquee matchup of the day, and it over delivered. And to your point about Mahomes, I want to touch on this as well. We're at a weird point in the QB dynamic right now where I think if you ask NFL fans, like gun to their head, who is the best player in football? I think it'll be kind of split. More people are going to give votes to Allen and Lamar than Mahomes, but you can't back it up because Mahomes kind of suns them in the playoffs. Mahomes is kind of like their daddy in the playoffs. They can't get over Mahomes, but we know that they're better than Mahomes. I don't really know what's going on. How do you make of the situation in the quarterback dynamic that's going on in the NFL? And I haven't even mentioned Joe Burrow yet, who's the only guy in that top tier of quarterbacks that's beaten Mahomes. Not Allen, not Lamar. Allen's 0 for 4 in the playoffs against Lamar or against Mahomes. Lamar Jackson obviously lost that AFC Championship game against Mahomes. What do you make of this dynamic?
Dude, it's really weird because I've never really seen anything like it in the NFL, at least from my memory. Lamar and Josh Allen, to me, are the top two quarterbacks in the league, at least on paper. They're so Showtime, like they're the people that you want to watch on your TV every Sunday, whereas as I said earlier, Mahomes just wins games. Like he's not trying to be super flashy. He's just trying to. It could just be a squeak out game. It could be 20-17, and he's completely fine with that. Now, I would say that the Ravens and the Bills have better weapons right now. They're all younger than what the Chiefs have to work with. You got old man Kelsey out there. You got Juju Smith-Schuster as his
Chris
receiver too.
Jones.
Hollywood Brown, like. These guys are not spring chickens anymore. And meanwhile, you got Keon Coleman, James Cook,
Dalton
who is
Kincaid,
it? Yeah, Dalton Kincaid. Like you
Khalil
got
Shakir.
guys, Khalil Shakir. Yeah, he's a little bit older, but you got guys on both sides of the ball as well. And I would say, bro, there's no way that Mahomes right now is better than Allen and Burrow. I mean, I would say he's better than Burrow for sure.
I mean, he's definitely
But
better than Burrow. I think you
yeah,
can make an argument for Allen and Lamar or to be better than Mahomes, but I still don't think you can fully win that argument because at the end of the day, when it matters most, Mahomes wins games. What is the point of football? It's to win games, and Mahomes does it better than anyone's ever done it outside of Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes, I think just given the history, you got to give credit to Mahomes and say he's still the best QB in football. But that's where the dynamic comes in, right? If we're talking about just play currently, if you ask me as an avid NFL fan that gives their life to the NFL, right? If you ask me, who's a greater quarterback, I'm gonna just say Mahomes. But if you put a gun to your head and say you're gonna need to draft a quarterback team like the old Max Kellerman take, if the the Martians are pointing their death beam at you, I want Iguodala take. Like instead of Mahomes, I want Lamar. I want Josh Allen on my team instead of Mahomes. But given Mahomes' playoff success, we got to give the nod of best QB to Mahomes until one of these guys beats Mahomes in the playoffs. We need Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or even Joe Burrow again to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs because until then, Mahomes is king, Mahomes is daddy. Now, if Jalen Hurts can go back to back this year and win the Super Bowl again, Hurts might be in that conversation, but I mean, come on. Jalen Hurts is not. I don't think he's proven enough given his roster situation, the fact that he's in the most loaded roster in the NFL. You can like credibly put Jalen Hurts in the same conversation as the top four guys, but Hurts is a name to watch out for.
No, I mean, I'm not gonna say that Hurts is up there with Mahomes just yet. I didn't think it would be at least a few more years before we could even justify thinking that. But if you're making a top 100 players list, like you would put right now, you would put Lamar and Josh Allen at 1 and 2 most likely. Like in terms of current players in the league,
I don't
if
know,
I had
man,
to
because
say,
two
or
games
at
ago,
least quarterback wise.
sure, but 2 games ago, right? If you talk like 2 NFL game weekends ago, so talk about week one and then Super Bowl weekend last year, we were talking about the fact that Patrick Mahomes could be playing an NFL game to cement himself as the greatest quarterback in NFL history over Brady. Because that argument would have started. If Mahomes beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, a three-peat Super Bowl champion never happened in NFL history. It's only happened in basketball, right? We never see a team even make it to 3 straight Super Bowls after winning 2. The Bills made it to 4, but they lost all the Super Bowls. We hadn't had a back-to-back Super Bowl champion make it all the way to the Super Bowl in ever in NFL history, and the Chiefs did it. And had they won that game, Mahomes would have had what, 4 Super Bowls against Brady's 7. Mahomes would have had 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. He would have had the greatest dynasty in NFL history of the Chiefs if the Chiefs had ended up winning the Super Bowl last year. So if you look at it from that lens, just 2 games ago, Mahomes was in contention or going into a game where if he won that game, he would be considered or have people would start making the argument that Mahomes is the greatest quarterback in NFL history instead of Tom Brady. So I think you still have to give the credit to Mahomes there until the postseason arrives. This is the season where I believe Allen and Lamar will over Mahomes in the QB hierarchy because I suspect one of these guys will beat Mahomes this year. The devil shit has to end, man. They always run some devil shit. Even against the Chargers game. Do you see that throw where he's parallel to the ground and he completes it to Juju
That
on
was
3rd and 5?
insane.
I was like, oh my God, these guys are running their devil shit again. But thank
Dude, but
God it did not work. I
the
mean,
Josh
Justin
Allen pass
Herbert,
to
you're my
himself.
king for beating Patrick Mahomes. Seriously. I was
Yeah.
like, no way they're going to pull this out again.
No, I mean, he always gets lucky somehow. But at the same time, if you put Mahomes on Baltimore or Buffalo, like he could be putting up those same numbers and statistics that these guys are putting up right now.
I
Like
mean,
Derrick Henry and James Cook. Like
the Buffalo, you got to give credit to their offensive line. Throughout that Sunday night football game, it was a 5-man blocking scheme for Buffalo the entire game. That means they had 5 other guys that were running routes for Josh Allen, and the protection with 5 guys blocking was holding up against Ravens' 5-man rush. That was a beautiful offensive line play by Buffalo. Shout out to that Bills O line. It might be the best O line in the league right now. I mean, obviously Philly's there. It's Buffalo or Philly, neck and neck for who has the best O line in the league. Obviously, you mentioned James Cook, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. Josh Allen has his weapons. Lamar does too. Zay Flowers looked good on Sunday Night Football. I mean,
stud.
obviously, Mark Andrews even though he does not play good in Buffalo, Mark Andrews is still a surefire target. Hopefully, if you take out that playoff game against Buffalo, he has Isaiah
He's a
Likely,
he's a surefire target, but is he gonna catch it? Is the next question.
or if he catches it and fumbles it with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the divisional playoff round. But let's not talk about Mark Andrews here. Now, talking about great quarterbacks, let's shift to another historically great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. He showed out in MetLife Stadium in a way he's never did while he was with the Jets. He commanded that Pittsburgh offense. He was driving them up and down the field methodically, man, like throwing the exact passes that he needs to without airing it out there. That was beautiful stuff by Aaron Rodgers, toe to toe against Justin Fields, who also made a name for himself in that game. What'd you make of that game? Is Aaron Rodgers back to MVP form?
Like I said, I don't know if he's back to MVP form, but I think he played really well. As I said last time that we were talking, like he's still very talented, and he's definitely gonna win you guys some game, or I should say
No, it's not
not
me.
you
I'm a
guys, but
Panthers fan, but I'm
I
a
thought you
Rodgers
were a
fan.
Steelers fan sometimes, but I know you're a Rodgers fan. But
And
either
I'm not a
way, it's
Steelers fan. I only root for the Steelers because I want Aaron Rodgers, a legend of the game, to be to to have his honeymoon treatment when he leaves. He's done so much for football, and I want football to treat him back.
No, I hear what you're saying. I think he did, so much for Green Bay, and then I mean, he kind of did it to himself by getting out of there, but going to the Jets was not necessarily a wise choice. 2020 hindsight's 2020. He wouldn't have probably gone to the Jets, and he wouldn't have torn his Achilles. But it's good to see him, now with the Steelers, a team that actually knows what they're doing organizationally. They have one of the best kickers in the league. You got to sign Chris Boswell to a lifetime contract if you're the Steelers at this point. You got great
Better than
defensive
Tucker.
players. Oh yeah, wait, bro, we're not talking about Justin Tucker anymore. He's a creep.
He is a creepo.
Yeah.
I think
So
he has a more valid claim to be a creepo than Deshaun Watson does.
they're both freaked out. So I'm not.
Let's not talk about them.
Yeah, let's get those off the agenda. But I would say the Steelers definitely have a chance to make the playoffs. They definitely have a chance to win some big games. They have some great weapons, but that obviously starts with Aaron Rodgers commanding the offense, as you mentioned. He played very well, getting the ball to all of his receivers. Even Ben Skoranek, you didn't expect some of these guys to get a bunch of catches, but he's got a good team, and I think this is a perfect place for him to cap off his career. So all the best to Aaron Rodgers, and on the other side, I did love what Justin Fields could do as well.
For sure. I mean, just to touch on it a little bit on the Jets side, it looks like the Justin Fields, Garrett Wilson connection's back. It looks like Brees Hall is back. But I want to harp on Aaron Rodgers again. Aaron Rodgers is one of the unluckiest quarterbacks in NFL history. I think even if you ask Brady, if like I think all football fans understand that the greatest thrower of the football is Aaron Rodgers. In NFL history, I don't think there's been a single guy who throws a more beautiful, a more accurate ball than Aaron Rodgers. The point of quarterback is to get the ball from point A to point B in the fastest time possible, and Aaron Rodgers did that better than anyone in NFL history. With that being said, the Green Bay Packers never invested in weapons for Aaron Rodgers. They never took a first round wide receiver in Aaron Rodgers, what, like 13-year tenure as a starter in Green Bay. Now, granted, he did have some good receivers, Jordy Nelson and Greg Jennings and Donald Driver in the first Super Bowl run. Obviously, he had Devontae Adams in
Randall
the second,
Cobb.
yeah, Randall Cobb as well. And obviously, in the second part of his run in Green Bay, he had Devontae Adams. But in that second part of his run in Green Bay, the defense, especially in the playoffs, they let him down, man. That defense could not hold up in meaningful playoff games. Special teams could not hold up in meaningful playoff games, right? That debacle in Green Bay or in Seattle when I think the guy's name was Devon Bostic. The ball just hits his chest, goes up. Seattle recovers it. We know the rest is history. And then you talk about Colin Kaepernick running for almost 200 yards against Green Bay on a Saturday night in San Francisco in 2016. After that great throw in Dallas to win the game, that throw that he had to the tight end, I forget what his name was, on that sideline in the tiptoe. The very next game, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones dropped a 40 burger on that Green Bay defense, and Green Bay's out again. And then in his later years, obviously we know about the blocked punt against San Francisco, and even in that Brady game, right? Tom Brady cooked Kevin King. Scotty Barnes cooked Kevin King right before the half, and Tampa Bay's up by like 2 touchdowns, and that kind of changed the trajectory of
Scotty
the game.
Miller.
Or Scotty Miller, not Scotty Barnes. Sorry, Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller cooked Kevin King, and then obviously Matt LaFleur not going for it on 4th and 8. That was a debacle. Talking about that, he comes to Pittsburgh, a team known for defense, and they can't stop anything. I was so sick, man, watching that game. It's like Justin Fields, a guy who is not known for being a good quarterback in this league, respectfully, maybe he'll turn it around. But so far in his career, Justin Fields is a guy that two teams have given up on. The Chicago Bears have given up on him. and the Pittsburgh Steelers have given up on Justin Fields. And Justin Fields is only in year 4. It's not like this is a veteran that they gave up on. He's a young quarterback that two teams have already given up on. No, I mean, he's just not known to be a great passer of the football, and he was shredding that Pittsburgh defense. Todd last year mightily struggled while Aaron Rodgers was in New York. And then yesterday, he's back to being the old Brees Hall again. I just felt so bad watching Aaron Rodgers again. I hope the Pittsburgh defense figures it out. Jalen Ramsey played great. Hit that he out on Garrett Wilson to ice the game was beautiful. But
He's
I
still
like what
Jalen
Aaron.
Ramsey.
Say that again.
I said he's still Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, for sure. I mean, talking about that offseason trade between the Dolphins, the swap of Jalen Ramsey and Minka Fitzpatrick, and also getting Jonnu Smith in return, it looks like Pittsburgh handily won that trade, given how the Dolphins game went. Man, what a debacle in Miami,
That
dude. Mike
oh
McDaniels has
that
to get fired, right? After
Tyreek's
this
got to
year?
get traded.
Tyreek has to
Tyreek's
get
got to go
traded.
out of
Mike
here.
McDaniels has to get fired. And I would say Tua needs to get cut, but the cap situation is too dire for Miami to move off of Tua this season. I think they're going to have to ride with Tua for one more year, given the cap situation there. I mean, it's going to cost Miami $80 million in dead cap money if they cut Tua after the season this year. So I think they're going to have to stick with Tua for one more year as a bridge guy. But they need to find a new quarterback. They need to find a new head coach. They need to find a new wide receiver. I mean, maybe Jalen Waddle will take that wide receiver one role, but I mean, Miami might be the worst team in football this year. Maybe Miami or Carolina or the
Dude,
Giants.
Miami needs a whole culture shift. Like it's this time with Mike McDaniels, it's definitely run its course. Tyreek Hill requesting a trade in the offseason and not getting it. And then you got Tua, he gets concussed every single season it seems like, and not only that, he just misses so many passes, like so many
Tua might need
balls,
to
like
retire.
yeah, he really does.
On a
I thought he
serious
should have
note, like given the
retired last year.
concussions. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Given the concussions and given how garbage he is, I think he should retire.
given how garbage he is.
No, but seriously, why would they get rid of Johnny Smith? Like that was one of Tua's like favorite
Security
options.
blankets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
security blankets aside from Devon Achan as well. And then they just give him away for basically nothing. Like you could have made a even swap Minka Fitzpatrick for Jalen Ramsey, and no side would have won that trade. I mean, both sides would have thought they would have won, but adding Johnny Smith, like the Steelers definitely fleeced in that deal.
for sure.
But yeah, let's get back on to the Steelers topic because Miami's such a disgrace.
Well, I mean, I was gonna say let's shift over to something that Miami has no business talking about, but Pittsburgh does have a couple guys here. Let's talk fantasy. Let's talk about what we learned in week 1. I mean, if we talk about Pittsburgh, DK Metcalf seemed like he was the old DK Metcalf. Calvin Austin's a newcomer in Pittsburgh, and then that backfield situation. Caleb Johnson, man, he's a drop
He's
candidate
not in
after.
the rotation at all. You
He's
got
not in the
Kenny
rotation. I dropped him in one of my leagues that I had Caleb Johnson in. I did not expect him to be that like Kenneth Gainwell completely outsnapped Caleb Johnson. Gainwell got 7 carries. Jalen Warren got 11 carries. Kenneth Gainwell got like the 4 targets in the passing game. Jalen Warren got a few targets in the passing game. But let's just talk about who was the biggest surprise for you in week 1 of fantasy football.
I mean, the biggest surprise, I don't think it's even close. I would say Daniel Jones. Like, nobody expected Daniel Jones to come in and almost put 30 points up. Like, he's going up against Miami. Everybody chalked Miami to win that game. I remember last week when we were talking, we picked Miami to win that game because the Colts are not a team that people are serious about. You got Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson prior to the season starting, competing for the job, and then you don't have faith in either one of them. So you say, let me give the job to someone that's not going to mess things up. And you give it to Daniel Jones. And then he comes in and drops almost 30 points, plays lights out. Like, that's got to be the surprise of the day for sure. Like, there's no question about it. The second would be Quentin Johnson, though. Nobody expected him to drop 25 points and have 2 touchdowns in Brazil when you just have Keenan Allen getting back and then Lad McConkey as the #1 target. So those are my 2 surprises of the week.
I mean, for me, you mentioned one of the names, Keenan Allen, right? I did not expect Keenan Allen to bounce back in the way he did because Keenan Allen kind of looked washed in Chicago last year. He comes back, has Justin Herbert as his quarterback. He has Jim Harbaugh as his head coach, and boom, Keenan Allen, the old Keenan Allen's back. He was surprising, but to me, I don't know if this is as big of a surprise because I know you did call him out before the year as one of your fantasy sleepers. But Emeka Egbuka, man, he might take over that Tampa Bay receiving room. He might take over being wide receiver 1 in Tampa Bay over Mike Evans. I mean, Mike Evans is old. Chris Godwin is coming back from injury. He's on the older side of his career. Baker Mayfield, you know how I feel about Baker Mayfield. I love me some Baker Mayfield. I have him. I still
Shake and
have him
bake.
I still have Baker Mayfield as my MVP winner this year, and that means he's going to be throwing a lot, and Emeka Egbuka is going to be catching a lot. Emeka Egbuka was he was phenomenal in that week 1 game against Atlanta. I wish I got him in our league that we're in. Shout out Austin, one of our boys. He has him on his team, but yeah, like damn, dude. I wish I got Emeka Egbuka on that team. I was watching that and I was like, damn, because I drafted okay, Javonte Williams is not a bad pick either, but I drafted Javonte Williams right before Egbuka got taken. I was feeling so sick watching that game. I was like, I love that guy.
Your hero running back strategy or your no running back strategy kind of faltered you in that situation
Well,
because
I
you
mean, I
had to
did
go
take
for
Derrick Henry.
Javante.
I took
You got
Derrick.
Derrick Henry, but you had
Yeah.
one running back,
Yeah,
and
I
then
didn't
you
take
kind of
running back until way later when it was Tyrone Tracy, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne level. But talking about running backs, Travis Etienne, man, they traded Tank Bigsby. That backfield that no one wanted to touch going into the year, right? No one wanted a Jacksonville running back on their roster. Travis Etienne is a top 20 running back now. He might be a top 15 running back now in Jacksonville after that game. Now we can talk about the Panthers. Horrible run defense. Nothing has changed there. Carolina, notorious for having an awful run defense last year. Once again this year, 191 yards for Travis Etienne. What? Oh, let's not talk about Carolina here. But Travis Etienne, another big mover in fantasy football this year, another surprise in fantasy football. But on the tight end side, George Kittle being out for 5 weeks, Tyler Warren in Indianapolis. I mean,
my dog.
you talk about tight end value right there. Tyler Warren looked good with Daniel Jones throwing the football.
Oh yeah, he did, bro. He got I think 10 targets in that game, and he was catching everything. I think it was 7 of 9 targets, I believe it was. I gotta go check the stats again, but he was looking like the primary target. You
For
had
sure.
Michael Pittman looked pretty good as well, coming back with Daniel Jones as the new quarterback. But yeah, Tyler Warren, he's a rookie. He can handle the ball. I'm expecting a season similar to Brock Bowers. He doesn't have as much explosive ability as Brock Bowers, but he's damn close, and he can secure the rock and do everything you need as a tight end for sure. So I did love the Tyler Warren performance, but I did want to go back to the Egbuka performance one more time, just because. Did you guys see him call his own touchdown at the end of the game? Like, he called for a post route at the end of the game and ended up walking the game off. He did the same thing at Ohio State, and man, he's destined for greatness. So I agree with your take on him.
Egbuka steal the NFL draft, man. They got him in like the late 20s in the first round, and good for Tampa Bay. Now let's quickly switch gears before we end it all. For the Thursday night game, we got Washington at Green Bay. What are you expecting in this game? Who do you have winning?
Man, this is going to be a tight game. This is definitely going to be a tight game, but Washington was not firing on all cylinders against New York. Like, it wasn't as big of a blowout as I was hoping. Obviously, it's the first game, but on the other side, Green Bay was looking pretty dominant against the Lions, and there's no way that I can switch up on them. They're still playing in Lambeau, and there's no way I'm going to pick against the Packers. So I'm going to go Green Bay for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got Washington at Green Bay in Lambeau. Micah Parsons is no longer going to be on a snap count. They're going to fully unleash Micah Parsons. Now, I did like the way Deebo Samuel played in Washington. Deebo Samuel looks to be a fantastic addition to that Commanders lineup. I do want to mention that Jaden Daniels tried to hit Terry McLaurin on a few deep routes, and they were just not hitting the way they used to last season. I mean, last season, every deep ball that went to Terry came down with it, but that connection looked a little off. But I'm sure they'll find their footing at some point in the season. I just don't know if it'll be at Lambeau against Micah Parsons, against that Packers team, against Jordan Love, that squad of wide receiver twos. Give me Green Bay at Lambeau. Well, but we got a great one on Thursday, man. Thursday night games are no longer those Indy Denver stinkers that we used to have. We got some good playoff caliber teams on Thursday night football. I'm excited for this game, man.
Dude,
It's just good.
Roger Goodell's low-key cooking with this season so far. Like,
Oh, for
I
sure.
got
The NFL
it,
script, top tier, as it always is. Thank God for the NFL, man. And the NFL always saves my life. Good for the NFL.
they do amazing every year, but this one it just feels so good, man.
Well, Atlas, it was great talking football with you as usual. Man, is it good to have the NFL back. I cannot reiterate that enough. We'll come back to you guys on Friday with our podcast. Looking forward to the games on Sunday and next Monday. We've got a Monday night doubleheader next week. We've got Eagles versus Chiefs in a Super Bowl rematch next week. Be sure to tune back in for our thoughts on the upcoming Week 2 games. See you everyone next week.
NFL Week 2, Statline Pod Week 2. Thank you guys for listening. You guys have a great one. Peace.